Coimbra. And we're going to talk to Astrid in just a moment about the Expats Portugal weekend there. Save the date, 12th of April. Bom dia todos from Squire of the Shire. So speaking of Astrid, let's bring her onto the screen. And the first thing we see, Expats Portugal celebrating 20 years in existence, long before all this interest in Portugal just recently.
Amazing, isn't it? Amazing.
Good morning to you. Yeah, it is. It's worth noting.
It's about as long as I've been coming to this beautiful country. So I've been living here now for 14 years. You probably know.
Right.
But,
you've seen some I didn't know it was that long. Yeah, you've seen some changes.
Yeah, 14 years.
Yeah. So just like Portugal, the Expats Portugal has changed quite a bit in this last 20 years. I think it started, didn't it, with a few Brits wanting to find out where to buy some of this, for example, some Marmite. It was a forum and a few people asking questions of that kind. They don't ask questions like that anymore. You can get Marmite all over.
It was a forum. Well, it started as a forum. This is before there was social media. So that's how long we're going back now. So before there was Facebook or Instagram or any of those social media platforms, there was the Expats Portugal forum, where it was extremely popular particularly with the British who settled in central Portugal, where they would be able to go on and ask, where can you get some Marmite? Where can you get a left-handed screwdriver? Where can you get all these kind of things, and to be able to share information. And it grew. I think when Jerry and I took over the site, which was 5 years ago now, there was already 6,000 members that had all joined this forum over the years. So when we took over, we had a nice database of people to be able to reach out to and find out a bit more about them and get them active in the forum again. And because we found that a lot of people didn't want to go into social media, they didn't necessarily trust social media, or they didn't like all the advertising and or didn't like sharing all their information. So the forum was a safe place for them to be. But then Trump got into the elections and COVID hit and everything changed, and all of a sudden we were inundated with a lot of Americans wanting to come to Portugal. So the site kind of took on a slightly new direction and a new purpose, and it's grown since there. So now we have a very, very nice mix of people from all over the world, from people who are not here yet, who are planning their journey, to people who are actually already here and want to stay connected with other people. And it's just continued to grow. And I think we've got close to 16,000 members now.
Congratulations, that's great.
And it's all good. It's all good. It's lots of fun. And we've got you and doing our webinars and helping with our YouTube channel. And we have
so enjoyed that last night, Astrid. It was great. And that's the bit where I think obviously Expats Portugal is key to a lot of people's plans coming to Portugal. And now there's more on offer for people who actually live here. And we had the most amazing guest last night. She was on the show yesterday morning talking about the webinar that we did last night. Isabel Stilwell talking about Philippa of Lancaster. And people really enjoyed that, didn't they? Finding out more about the history of Portugal. So more of that, please, if you can program more of that in.
Sure, definitely. We, the other thing about learning about the culture and finding out more about Portugal with the history, the webinar, sorry, not the webinars, but the meetups that we're doing, we always want to introduce an element of culture or history into those as well. So, we think it's very, very important for people to understand the bit of the history of their country, and to be able to explore the different cities and different places that you've got, and understand what was this monument for, why is this area so famous, what went on here, and of course we've got Philomena helping us with the tour. She's so knowledgeable about the different areas within the country. So it's important for foreigners, especially when they come here, to be able to know a bit of the history and the culture of the country and be able to embrace that.
And she was with us last night, wasn't she? She came. Philomena came as a participant, not as a part of the audience to hear what Isabel Stilwell had to say, and they were on the screen together for a moment, and it was like, this is fantastic. We've got Philomena helping us with language and culture from that angle once a month. And then we had this lovely historical webinar last night as well. And some of the feedback was people had been to some of these monuments, like the Sintra, for example, or Battaglia, where we were a few weekends ago. And hearing about the lives, the sort of personal lives and stories of the kings and queens made them want to go back, because they could then imagine these characters who they're hearing about last night, or in the historical novels of Isabel. It brought it to life, and people said, "I'm going to go back. It's, these places are incredible anyway. I'm going to go back and imagine these people wandering around in these old monuments and monasteries and so on." So yeah, let's have more of that. And you mentioned there, of course, Philomena giving us she's on the webinars every first Thursday of the month. She led us in a tour around Battaglia a couple of weekends ago. Really enjoyed that weekend. It was really good. And we've been talking about Coimbra this morning, and it just so happens we're heading there, are we not, on the 12th of April. So there you go, a meetup. What's going to be happening here? A similar formula to Battaglia?
Similar but different. We acknowledge that Coimbra is a hilly place. So if you have been there before, you know that if you're going to be doing a tour, you're going to have to go up and down a lot of tours. So Jerry had the idea of hiring a bus. So we have a bus to be able to shuttle us around to different points of exploration, so points of interest in the country, in the city, including the library, which is meant to be absolutely spectacular.
Yeah.
And we'll be going to the botanical gardens and various touch points. It's all actually documented on the events calendar on the site. So if you want more information about the schedule, you can check it out there. So, but yes, you won't have to walk. We have got a bus to be able to pick you up and take you around. And if you want to do a little bit of souvenir shopping, we've got time for that as well. So it's starting with the tour. Then we will meet up for social drinks afterwards, which has been proudly put on by our sponsors for this event, which happens to be Daniel from Reese Pelicano and the guys from Holborn Assets. They're kindly sponsoring the drinks and nibbles that we'll have. Woo! And then we will and then we'll have dinner, a buffet dinner at the Hotel de Villa Gale, which looks absolutely spectacular. I did get a copy of the menu of what they're going to serve, and it looks amazing. So a buffet dinner. You can stay on overnight if you want to. At the hotel, we have negotiated a 10% discount off the room rate, which includes breakfast. Yeah. And then, of course, the next day, a lot of us at the Battaglia one, we got together for breakfast, didn't we? Yes. Yeah, which was a lot of fun. So hopefully something similar will happen in April. And then, of course, you can go off and do your own thing. So you can make a weekend of it. You can make a week of it. It's just a matter of what you want to do with booking the accommodation and what you would like to see. So
very good. Big question. Do you think it's going to be warm enough to swim on April the 12th? I think I'm going to bring the Cosby anyway.
There is an indoor pool as well at the spa or the wellness centre at the hotel. So you can go and have a bit of a dip indoors. You can have a massage. You can do all that kind of stuff as well. So the hotel does have that. But how nice would it be? Like when we had the meetup in Tamar in the middle of summer last year. I think on the Sunday we had Gilda from EI and Sarah from Spartan and myself, and I had my daughter with me and a few of the other guests, and we all just spent the whole day around the pool because it was like 37 degrees or something crazy. Fantastic. Like that. So fantastic. It was just nice.
Morning to you, Antonio F. Bon dia, Antonio, from James as well, especially for you there. That's an impressive milestone, going back to 20 years. And the forum is still going strong, isn't it, has to be said, plus everything else that you're doing now. So for those that know and love the forum from back in the day, you can still probably read your old post, in fact, about where to get Marmite. That's an impressive milestone, says the Squire. And Pam looked at the forum in those days. I bought my first house in Portugal 20 years ago. There was very little on the internet then. It's hard to imagine, isn't it? A time before social media when people were wandering around Portugal trying to buy houses and find the right place to live without all the help that they can get now. Similarly, Diane, or hers in the Algarve 20 years ago, but they're glad not to be there now. Antonio F also saying, bon dia to us there, Astrid, to Carl, the Good Morning Portugal show, and Astrid as well there, and he's urging us to hit that like button. So if people want to come to the weekend, do they need to be Expats Portugal members, or are there parts where they can join in? How's that going to work?
Okay, they do need to be premium members of our site. So you can join up as a premium member, and then that will give you access to all the various discounts that we offer, including the accommodation and the complimentary drinks put on by our sponsors and things like that. But we felt that we did want to give back a little bit to our members who are joining us, who have already arrived in Portugal. So this is a bit of a thank you from us to them to continue to support us in what we're doing with the site. So it is a very big effort from Jerry and I to make sure that we do look after our members who are here in Portugal and once they arrive. So the webinar content that we're doing is a little bit different. Like we've got this webinar coming up in March about, if you've got mold problems and humidity problems and issues like that in your house, what it is that you can do to improve those conditions. And there it is with the, Yeah,
let me just bring that up here because I wanted to go through what's coming up on the webinar series as well. So this is going to be an interesting one. That's a familiar site to some people, and we can definitely identify a Portuguese socket there, can't we? And one of the possible pitfalls. So what's this one going to be about?
Well, basically, we have an expert that's coming on board, and he's very knowledgeable about how to, I guess, take a holistic approach in fixing some of these problems. So the Portuguese, well, not just the Portuguese, but many people are very, very key. If you have got a problem, say humidity within your home, and that is a big problem here in Portugal. We would be lying if we tried to cover up the issues.
People do try to cover it up, though. That's the whole point, isn't it? It does get covered up.
Yeah, people paint over it, or they just get a dehumidifier and put one in every room and have it going on constantly. And it's not actually looking at what the problem is and trying to solve the problem. It's just putting a bit of a Band-Aid on a problem and not fixing it where you can. So this expert, another Nuno, will be coming on board and giving people tips on what to look out for if they are either considering buying a new home or buying a property here in Portugal, or if you've already bought a property and you are finding that you've got, it's freezing cold in winter, it's even colder inside than it is outside in the middle of winter, or in summer, if it's piping hot and it's just, you can't cool down your house, and things that you can do to actually fix the problem. So for insulation, ventilation, mold control, where you've got dampness in your walls that you need to be able to take, a different approach to solving it, and really giving people an idea on how to fix it rather than just patch it up and think, I think my landlord here at the place that I live, I get black mold on my ceiling, and I call my landlord and I'm like, Frederico, this is really, really bad. It's horrible. And his solution, I'll just open the windows more. But the thing is that Carl, that I live near the ocean. So if I open the windows, it's just letting damp air in. So it's not fixing the problem. That's
right. And I think local people have learned to live with it in many ways. Compare and contrast that to Americans who are absolutely horrified.
Yes.
Can you imagine a viewing and there's a corner of a house that looks a bit like that image on the screen? Whereas, if I saw that, I'd be thinking, well, that's a bit of a concern. We know how to deal with that. And, we could come along to the webinar and find out how to deal with it, the source of it, rather than just the symptoms. But for some people, they would just shut the door and run, wouldn't they? From the United States, for example, black mold, I think is seen as and it is, but I think people from the United States are particularly sensitive about seeing something like that and would run a mile. So that's a possible webinar for you if you are confronted with that, which I think you will be in certain parts of Portugal. And Mel saying, look, I need that very bad in this area. I'd love some natural options. So that's a webinar for you as well. I've learned a lot about managing mold. mold from my family here, mold management. Maybe you can have a little spot on that as well. Open windows during the lowest humidity times of the day, of course. And there is definitely a management issue to it that you won't be familiar with if you're a foreigner and you're coming into Portugal. Brilliant. What else have we got there, Astrid, then coming up? And we do need to help people with, if they do want to join up and they want to be part of these webinars. But if I scroll through here, you will see what's coming up. Back to the Portuguese language and culture with Philomena, of course. Citizenship. That's given that the Expats Portugal is 20 years old. That means that some of the people who've been around for a while on the forum are good candidates for citizenship, right? And that's the webinar on how to do that.
Yes, so it will be where, Daniel from Recent Pelicano is on holiday, so it's good to know that he is taking a bit of a break. So this will be with the Pelicano, so Rodolfo Pelicano from Recent Pelicano. So we haven't had him on one of our webinars before, so I'm really, really looking forward to it. He's such a lovely guy. So it'd be great for everyone to get to know him a little bit better. So he's the citizenship expert. So he's going to be letting people know how, when, and what you need to do to accomplish Portuguese citizenship. You've got that terrible language. I shouldn't say terrible, but you do have the language criteria that you need to be.
Yes, A2. Let's call it what it is. Terrifying.
Terrifying. That's probably better than terrible. But of course, you need to be A or up to B proficiency with the language to be able to get citizenship. Unless you're like me, that got not a loophole, but because I married a Portuguese guy.
That's another option.
I don't need to do the language exam. So go figure. I don't know why.
Yes. Well, I guess it's assumed your grasp of Portuguese in every sense would be pretty well honed. Now, maybe there's another opportunity for a webinar there, how to marry a Portuguese person. How's the friend and date finder going on Expats Portugal? Because you've got that as well, haven't you?
I'm not too sure because everything is private. We can't see what people are talking about.
Oh, okay, very good.
So,
right.
It's not like we can sort of peek in there and see who's connecting with who. So it's all very private. But
that's good to know for those who might be interested in that. We'll just wait for the invitation to the first Expats Portugal wedding, right? And I'll bring my karaoke machine, and maybe they'll let me DJ at that. Okay, wonderful. Where we lived, we used to live in Colorado. Humidity was an unknown circumstance. Yes, it's hard to imagine, isn't it? Now, life in Portugal, anywhere else, not having such things. 92 was one of the readings on my dehumidifiers yesterday. It's pretty soggy over here at the moment. So find out how to deal with that. And a whole load of other things. Citizenship, we'll be having Philomena back on the first Thursday, a packed program every Thursday night. And if you want to sign up, we can give you a discount as a member of the Good Morning Portugal community. That's the link you need. And we're doing 10% off together, right? We figured that out, Astrid. 10% off membership packages for people who use the code GMP.
Yes, make sure they use the code, your special code GMP, and it will be reduced to 10% during the cart. So if you do want to come to our meetups, use that code to join, and then you can come and join us in Coimbra, and you'll be there, Carl, and
I will be there. 12th of April. Really looking forward to it. Really looking forward to it. And I'll be outside with the Wim Hof types having a dip in the cold pool, I think, not with the lightweight.
Well, it'll be spring by then, so
it'll be wonderful. It'll be a chance to scare the horses. Right, fantastic. Great to talk to you. It's 9 o'clock. We've been talking away here, and it's the end of the show. So thanks very much. Have a great weekend. Bon fin de semana. All the best to you, and I shall see you next Thursday. And of course, every Thursday night is the Q&A, the town hall as well, which can be viewed on YouTube, or if you're a premium member, you can be in on the call as well. Cheers, Astrid. Have a good weekend, and we'll see you again next month.
Yes. Okay.
All right. Ciao, ciao. See you. Thanks very much. Bye for now.